Welcome back to another episode of From Tailors with Love. Today we're talking about The Wolf of Wall Street from 2013, directed by Martin Scorsese, based on the book by Jordan Belfort of 2007. Costume designer for this is Sandy Powell, whose filmography includes The Irishman, Shutter Island, and The Departed. Rotten Tomatoes scores this with the audience at 79% and 83% with critics. Hope I got that the right way around. And special guests today is Kyle Barbeau from Easy Smiles and Expensive Watches. How are we doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing well, Pete. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, mate, thanks for jumping on. Can't wait to hear that Boston accent that you were just doing offline. And also rejoining a friend of the show and friend in real life, John Shanahan from The Cavalier. How are we doing today, John?
Great to be back, Pete. Love talking clothing and film.
And also we should mention Strix, the grooming company. And yes, tinted moisturizer and all the good gubbins. We'll put links over on the show notes. Thanks for coming back, John.
Viral hit. TikTok viral hit.
Massive on TikTok that I know nothing about, sadly.
It's what the young people do, I'm told.
Are you on TikTok, Kyle?
I am not.
No. What would it take to get you on TikTok?
I'd have to understand how it works and what it is.
You just let it feed into your lower cortex, and it just takes over. So, yeah, I would actually say. So, I know you like to start off with like your background on the film, right? And I think maybe we'll just jump right into it. I think there are fewer 3-hour films that I've ever watched more than this one in my life. I don't know what that says about me or whatever the indicators are there, but when this movie came out in 2013, I think I saw it in theaters twice, and I've watched it a ton afterward. And maybe we can dissect a little bit of the psychology behind that, but I love this movie.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I think I remember on the last email when I pitched a few films around, you said, whenever you're doing Wolf of Wall Street, I want to be on the back of that. So I thought of you immediately. Well, John, perhaps you can talk about why this film is a personal favorite of yours. Maybe you can talk about some of the elements and touch upon the style of it.
I think it brings together so many things that I like, just even outside of the film itself. So like, I love Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, Titanic might be one of my favorite films. We can talk about that one another time too, but I love Titanic. I love Leo. I also love when Shutter Island came out. That was another one that I've seen that movie more than most. And it's the filmmaking aspects, the storytelling, just the way that Leo doesn't always encapsulate a character very well. He has like he very much has a shtick, or he very much has like an affectation that he can't like subsume into most roles. But the roles that are made for him, he really nails, which he does in The Wolf of Wall Street. And so then like this brings together the Scorsese parts of film that are great. It's such a blast. Like it's a roller coaster that never ever stops. There's like not a moment that this movie like slows down for a second. It's just it's redlining the entire time. So that's a lot of fun. But then there's also this like biopic aspect of it that it's like, it's just interesting to see, however fictional or non-fictional it is, I mean, it's pretty accurate to real life based on all accounts, but just to see like how these guys went from just being, dudes on the street that were kind of interested to making tons of money, and then they end up in jail. And just that whole ride is so fascinating.
Yeah.
I'll shut up for a second. You guys.
No. I guess so you always come across as being quite entrepreneurial to me, John. So I think this film, it's not a surprise to me that this is perhaps right in your wheelhouse, how someone can almost manifest an entire empire out of nothing, or take a nugget of an idea and then bring in everybody that he trusts from the street, essentially. I mean, all of his employers at Stratton, was it Stratton?
Stratton Oakmont.
Thank you. Well, all of his buddies basically from the very start, and he took them like he made them as hungry as he is, and like throughout the film, he'd like the whole aspect of like loyalty and how everyone should just be kind of like his servant, really, to getting rich, which is the one goal everyone has in the back of the mind.
And not to mention Jonah Hill. Like I was also, not only was I a young guy for Titanic, but then Superbad was a big one for me too. And it's like to see Jonah Hill go from that to then he did Moneyball between this, and then to do Wolf of Wall Street. And everybody is just on their A game in this movie. Like every role, whether it's Margot Robbie or Jonah Hill, Leo's crushing it. Even like Kyle Chandler, right? The FBI detective. Like he's amazing in this. Like everybody is just nailing it in this movie.
I just remember Superbad. when he's when that girl, he goes, oh yeah, she's just had breast implants, or no, she's just gone up a notch in her bra or something. He goes, I gotta get a look at these warlocks. And starts running down the street, and his mate flags him, goes, you take it down the outside, we can outflank her. Anyway, tangent. Kyle, how did this film appeal to you? In what way?
This is one of those movies. There are a few things that appeal to me besides Margot Robbie. This is one of those films that is funny, but it also has a good message behind it. And Scorsese is not a subtle director at all. I mean, when the scene on the yacht with Kyle Chandler confronting Leo, the American flag is flapping in the breeze every time behind Kyle Chandler. And yeah, I mean, it's a not so subtle visual clue that, okay, this is the good guy. We stand for American values. Don't celebrate Jordan Belfort. This is bad. What he is doing is wrong, even though it looks like fun and it looks ostentatious and it looks amazing. At the end of the film, you realize, no, this is destroying lives. But it's a fun ride to get to that point.
Yeah, it's interesting, like hearing some of the reviews for this film. When it hit theaters, there were people in the front rows that were clearing and clapping it, and like former stockbrokers and bankers of the world were just kind of really getting behind this. And like the idea of just making money while screwing other people over just appealed to a lot more people than it did others. And then you had critics and like film reviewers going, well, how can we support someone that's just morally bankrupt and and literally just destroying lives? And how can you get behind these characters and like them when they're doing that? So I am actually a little bit pulled in both directions, but just watching it from an entertainment point of view, and having like watching this guy's adventures and just the balls of him taking all of these chances and all of these risks, like taping money, getting it over to Switzerland, and all of these kind of, he's got too much money basically. That's kind of like the idea of the film. He doesn't really know what to do with it, or how to do any good with it.
I think the back half is also, like, for as much as I enjoy the ride and the excitement there, the back half, there is a bit of a just reward coming to him, and you do see like the moral implications of everything he did, all the fun that he had, and all the risks that he took, and the people he screwed over. He does, end up getting that come back to him, and the way that it ends the film with him, running the seminars and selling a pen and stuff. It's like you can see the whole ride, but it's not that he's left to just go off into the sunset as this hero. It's like, it's showing that he took it, he went to jail, and then like even now he's actually on TikTok. He Jordan Belfort himself makes like these goofy like TikToks now, and it's like, well, you rose and you fell and you paid the price. Yeah. Mostly, he apparently hasn't paid back all the legal fees that he's due. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I did reach out to Jordan. Didn't get a reply.
Damn.
Could have been worse.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can touch upon some of the styles. So it was touted that Armani did a lot of the clothes for this, and reviewing or doing a little bit of research, I know our late friend Christopher Lafferty did a couple of articles around this, and then cited a lot of the magazines that got this wrong, saying that kind of Armani did this non-stop. That's not the case at all. Armani didn't design these suits. It was very much the costume designer that designed these suits. I believe Armani did a couple of these suits, made a couple of these suits, but very few of them compared to what they were actually credited with. Carl, did you get any of that, like throughout some of the research or throughout some of the links on some of the people that made these?
That's interesting. I did not know that. I assumed, just knowing the era in which this film is set and the type of characters that are being portrayed, that yes, Armani is the right fit. And then Armani was promoted as having made most of the costuming. I did not know that other people made it.
Yeah. I actually, there was a gentleman who I've just reached out to on Instagram who I found very recently did the suits. So let me backpedal here. And again, a lot of people might already know this, but the designer, the person that did actually go around to Stratton Oakmont and do the £2,000 suits for all of the people that worked there was, I believe, Anthony Gilberto was a tailor. And I've since looked him up online, and he's done a couple of interviews since, but certainly has no presence online where you can reach out to him and invite him on for a conversation. But I think he did like basically a lot of he said it was a fucking great time for him, basically, because his full-time gig was like 3 days a week. He would just be going in. And so there is that kind of panning scene where across the whole office, people are on their phones, like doing the deals, but getting measured at the same time. So that
He's the only one there making an honest living.
yeah, I guess so. And he said it was high times for him. Imagine just being a tailor where you can just have a constant revenue stream coming in with people wanting all the best suits. So yeah, he was enlisted to do some of the suits. He even went and met Leonardo DiCaprio, I believe, and then kind of Leonardo DiCaprio wanted to get into the vibe of, or wanted to imbibe, I should say, some Jordan Belfort, and asked him about a couple of things. But then there's also a gentleman called Leonard Logsdail. I hope that's his name. It's certainly Leonard Logsdail Bespoke. Now he's hit the headlines because he's done some work for the House of Gucci film. So he's been working with Janty Yates on that film, but he also apparently is credited with working on some of the suits with Wolf of Wall Street. Once I get him on the show, then we'll clarify all that.
Interesting.
It says he's also done for Oliver Stone's Wall Street too, and I think it's interesting because I mean you do have that aspect of it, and this kind of pairs well. We revisited American Psycho too, and these two together, the style of those two films, because this was like early '90s, and then you had American Psycho kind of harkening back to the '80s, and so they had enough distance on it that the suits in those two movies could almost be interchangeable. They're very close. I mean, there's a little bit bigger cuts in the Wolf of Wall Street, but it is interesting to see the DNA of Leonard Logsdail doing Wall Street and then coming in to do completely period appropriate 1993 film suits as well.
Nice. I do think that American Psycho is a little bit more restrained than Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street, by design, is supposed to be big, ostentatious, loud. Everything in this film reflects that, and certainly the clothing does.
Yeah, and there's a touch of the boiler room in this as well. I'm sure the boiler room must have been influenced early days by this, because they even have the speech of act as if. So that's in the book, like act as if you've got the biggest dick in the office. And this is what Jordan Belfort is telling all of his aspiring trainees, is just go, look, even if you can't afford the £2,000 suit, get it anyway. Even if you can't afford the penthouse suite, get it anyway, and then just work your ass off to try and fund it somewhere down the line, which you ultimately probably won't.
Yeah, Boiler Room is actually based on Stratton Oakmont as well.
Is it?
Without being overtly referential to Stratton Oakmont, it's based on the same thing.
Nice.
Which is actually located on Long Island, where I live.
Kyle, so are there any locations from the film that you kind of pass like on a daily basis?
Yeah, there are quite a few. I've been to the old Brookville Country Club, and let me tell you something. You're not going to walk in there wearing sweatpants and trainers like he does. But then again, I've never gone in there hopped up on Quaaludes either. So
nice. So do you have to be a member to go in there?
I went there for a function years ago. I'm sure it is a members only type of deal.
That'd be a great location.
Yeah, a lot of the locations from this film are places that I've seen, places that I've been. I don't live in that Gold Coast area that he's describing as the wealthiest real estate in the world. I'm not quite in that tax bracket, but it is fun to say like, oh, I know where that is. I know where that is. And I have to say the authenticity of the Nassau County Police, that's exactly how they would have looked in 1993.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Describe that look for us.
The uniforms that they wear, the patches, the orange patches on the shoulder, the police cars, those are the police cars and police uniforms that I grew up, trying to avoid.
Right. Carl, maybe you could touch upon some of the accents used in the film.
It's funny. Margot Robbie has this really thick Long Island accent that I have tried my entire life not to have growing up here, and she's from Australia and does a very, very good job of making it sound authentic. I mean, if I went to the supermarket, you could find Donna and Angela and Georgie all talking.
And so is that that's in you, and you have to you talking now as like an impression of yourself, but
Oh no, this is my real voice.
Oh, okay, all right. Wanted to clear that. What about some of the casual elements of the film, like some of the polos? I mean, I really liked basically everything that he wore on the yacht. You spoke about it there. Is there anything from this film that you would perhaps look at for your own personal style? John, have you been influenced by any of the style of this film, either the suits or the casual wear?
Actually, before the movie, I had seeked out a pair of like 80s era Wayfarers because I love the way there's a different angle to the earlier Wayfarers that you can see in the film. Like you can see the way that they sit and kind of angle up is very different than like modern Wayfarers. And so I actually have a pair of those 80s ones. They're broken, and going back to this made me like, oh, maybe I'll actually get the screws that I need to fix the sunglasses. But yeah, even the white polo, I mean, that's just a classic like white polo that anybody can pull off. I think the way that he wears it there looks good in the film, but also would look great today. The pleated khaki like trousers that he wears too. I mean, I think they look great.
I like those.
He's got kind of like the braided belt and everything. I think that's a killer style. I'm not crazy. I know you can buy like the actual swim trunks that he wears in a different scene in the movie, but I wasn't, that crazy about those, but I would absolutely rock that white polo.
Yeah, that yacht outfit is the iconic look from this film. I mean, that is the one that everybody remembers. It looks great.
Can you still get that polo?
Oh yeah,
polo still around? Just a staple.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's just right. Yeah, Ralph Lauren.
You can go on Ralph Lauren's site and buy. You can customize the size of the polo logo on their website, so you can get like the white polo, and then you can say if you want like micro size, medium size, or large size.
That's nuts. Which size would you go for?
I can't remember what I was researching. I was researching something for that. I don't know. I'd get the tiniest one.
Yeah. We should reach out to Ralph Lauren and see if he wants to sponsor the show. We're doing it to everyone else. Oh, man. Well, listen, gents, thanks for jumping on, taking time out your Sunday. I guess if there was something that came up for auction, I did have a look on Prop Store. I think it was just the little flip phones that they talked to Donnie and Leo that have the flip phones that someone sold for a couple of grand. But if there was anything else that came up aside from all the cars, the Lamborghini Contouches and stuff, what would you have? Kyle, over to you first. What would you be bidding for if it came up?
I'm going for the robe that he's wearing when the FBI comes to arrest him at the very end of the film.
Ah, nice.
It's a nice dressing gown, silk. That's my pick.
I can see you on that, and by your poolside on your luxury yacht. John, how about you?
So he throws a Rolex in the boiler room scene,
yeah.
which I like.
We should touch on this.
Yeah. So talk about the Rolex, but supposedly he also had a Bulgari watch, which was like the thinnest. He was told not to wear like a big bulky Rolex. This was like Jordan Belfort in real life. So he had a Bulgari watch, which is super thin, gold Bulgari. I'd probably go for the thinner Bulgari, but yes, the Rolex is also, that's an iconic scene too.
So in the film, because Leonardo DiCaprio he's a brand ambassador for Tag, he's wearing Tag watches, not Rolexes. And even though the real Jordan Belfort threw a solid gold Rolex, the watch that Leo throws is a gold-plated Tag, which kind of, I know it's because of Leo's professional relationship with Tag, but it's better for the film because it's not solid gold. It's gold-plated. It's everything on the surface looks shiny and beautiful, but really underneath it's base metal, which is Jordan Belfort, which is Stratton Oakmont.
That is
wow.
nice.
I didn't even know that.
Get in there, Carl. That's why you get that's why you get the big bucks, buddy.
That's right. Yeah. that's why I'm spending my Sunday mornings talking Wolf of Wall Street with you.
Left that off the show notes, by the way.
Well, Pete, don't forget about the Bond tie-in.
The Bond
tie-in.
Yes. Oh yeah. I was going to do a little new segment of tenuous Bond tie-ins, and I pulled this from my IMDb, but I might as well just read it verbatim. The cameo by Sharon Jones performing Goldfinger, the title theme to the James Bond film Goldfinger 1964. Jordan and Naomi's wedding is a reference to Jordan Belfort's actual wedding, where Nobody Does It Better, the theme song from another Bond film, The Spy Who Loved Me, was performed.
They must not been able to get the rights for Nobody Does It Better.
Yeah, it probably just cost a little bit more. Yeah.
But there are a couple other ones. There's Joanna Lumley, who was in On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Nice.
And he does, on the yacht, he even says, like, this is a yacht for a Bond villain, so I'm going to act the part.
Nice, yeah. Nice. Forgot all about
And
this.
not so tenuous Bond links.
Exactly. Yeah, that's straight in there, Bond links.
Martin, as we said, Martin Scorsese is not a subtle.
No, he's
director.
not. He's not a subtle man.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed this film, actually. I'm with you. There's something very highly watchable about this on repeat viewings as well. I'm going to be reviewing a couple of more films later that I thought would be really good to get back to, like Fight Club and other films. And I don't think I could be watching them films again for another 30 years, but I could probably, if this comes on again, I'll easily just sit through this and watch it all over.
Yeah. It reminds me of one of the very first job interviews that I took after I finished school was with a firm on Wall Street very much like this. And I didn't take the job because it looked too superfluous. Everything looked nice on the surface. And it turns out that like 5 years later, it was shut down by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and all senior management went to jail. This is a good career move. Not taking that job.
Wow, sounds like there's another Boiler Room 2 sequel that works based on that.
It is more real than I think people realize.
Yeah. Oh, I guess lastly we should touch upon the poor dude in the bow tie. So that was a real thing in the book as well, that he spotted him wearing a bow tie and he said, "What's this motherfucker doing wearing a bow tie to the office?" So they did have a dress code. Like everyone had to wear like a custom-made suit, a white shirt and a silk tie. And in the book, the women had to wear what I love, he calls go to hell dresses or go to hell skirts. Basically, everything should be as short as possible and all the bras should be pushed up as much. Much wouldn't be getting away with that these days, but was very much encouraged back in them days. Anywho, gents, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for joining us on the Sunday, and Easy Smiles and Expensive Watches on Instagram. Follow Kyle over there. Learn more about Tag, Leo, and gold-plated watches. John, the _Cavalier is where you can find him on Instagram. Where can people find you on TikTok?
It's Strix_official on TikTok.
Okay. All right. Make sure you're giving John a follow there because he dedicates a lot of his time and he's going there straight now, I guess, after this. So thanks, John. Thanks, Carl. Catch you on the next one.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Great. Bye.
Bye.